Derek here. So today what we're going to be talking about is how to crush it in school. Okay, so we all had those experiences where school is either really boring or it's really hard or you can't see the advantages to some aspects of what you're learning, and then some of it's useful only until later when the aspects that are valuable are actually realized. And when you find that, you learn it like that and you remember it forever. So what took three couple weeks, 12 weeks to learn a concept that was super hard in school because you had because there was no value actually given to you in terms of this is why it's important. Nobody actually addressed that. This is why it's so easy to pick up as soon as you see the value. So let's talk about it. Well, let's go through high school. Okay, looking through high school, where you notice that a lot of things, not just learning, but the groups that maybe you may be associating with, they have no idea who they are. They have no idea what they're actually about. A lot of the social hierarchies are kind of BS because they're not based on anything that's true, ethical, moral, reasonable, whatever. It's not based on wisdom at all. And, we just kind of go into these affinities of various people that have similar interests as us. Cool. Okay, now if we're trying to go to school, if let's just assume that the main purpose of school is to gain skills and knowledge and maybe wisdom, that might be a good one. Uh, to go out in there in the world and make things happen, to make things that we want to happen, or to be valuable to somebody, or to gain, basically to learn skills, gain wisdom, knowledge, and all that stuff, and be able to think, right? Well, okay, so this is how we're going to do it. So the majority of the stuff, let's just face it. Okay, when you're going to college, a lot of people get into serious amounts of debt. If you go to a state college, in state, it's probably $100,000. You'll be in debt, paying about a 6 to 7% interest rate. You could check that out, but and it's undefaultable. That's not a healthy strategy. Anybody can tell you that. Okay, you can look at the balance sheet. You're basically buying a very expensive receipt, especially if you don't need it in terms of getting a license. If you need to be a doctor, you have to go to school. You have to go to college. Okay, if you need a license for it, then go to school. If you don't, why are you wasting so much money? Okay. Now then that's a hard question because there's so much pressure and there's a lot of things that go behind that being a 19-year-old going to college, there's a lot of weird social dynamics that people are impressing on you and trying to force you to do. Now that's not exactly productive, especially if it's going to affect your balance sheet, but it's just because of their expectation, what they think is valuable, but they're not willing to take the financial risk to do that. Okay? So they're if you look at it, let's just assume that they don't know. Okay? Let's just assume that for now. Okay. So what do we do? How do we make the best of it? Well, what you can do if you really wanted to go is that you look into all sorts of scholarships and you just leverage the thing you are killing at. You only hit that thing that you are killing at. Everything else, oh, I need to get this to get my grade point average up and do that stuff. Screw that, man. That sucks. That's stupid. Okay? You're investing so much time and so much effort into something that somebody else can easily just sneeze at and blow you away. Okay? You do, and you get scholarship money, and people invest to buy the part of you, quote unquote, buy the part of you, whatever that means. That's competent. That is incredibly competent. If you look at music scholarships, you could get a scholarship for classical trumpet and playing etudes or classical something or other, which is great. And there's varying degrees of colleges, so you could have the top schools get some money for that, and then as you go down into the very specific state schools or community college, they'll be offering you more money because the competency range that you'll be sitting at will be at the top, and they'll reward you for that. And that's great. That's fantastic. Okay, if you're looking for the piece of paper, right, you don't need a scholarship to be a musician, or not a scholarship. Sorry, a degree. Now it's useful, especially if you're going to teach, but and then you go up into the masters and then doctorates, right? Well, sweet, yeah, cool, right? But you start somewhere, and the thing is that if you're $100,000 in debt, where are your options? Okay, let's think about the financial statement here. This is not rocket science. Okay, So if we have the scholarship from DC University, well, the thing is that you can still take lessons from the top killing cats or whoever for $100 a lesson, right? Or whatever they, well, then you just get like a job or something like that, or you're doing gigs, and then you pay them to teach you something. Like just because they're at a specific school doesn't mean that they're not willing to open to private lessons. Great. What if you're getting into production? You could do that too. You can find somebody, you can work with people, you can do all that stuff. There are ways to get information and knowledge because, what you're really looking for is the knowledge and information. Okay? So, what you do when you have mentorship, you're looking for mentorship and the ideas and the knowledge and the concepts that are in their head that aren't already in books. So you can synthesize principles from books, right? If you learn how to speed read, you can blaze through 5 books a week, valuable hardcore books a week, get synthesize the most valuable core principle, and then eventually have all that where you basically exhaust the school library that you're in, and either in your high school, and then when you go to college it'll take you maybe like 3 years to exhaust the entire library of anything that's valuable. And then you get more and more into the weeds as you start exploring more and more out, and then you start realizing some things and maybe seeing more context in different ways, which is cool. But what you're doing is that you're looking for information, and the library is where you should be. Well, of course you're learning stuff in school and stuff and your skills and everything. Well, if you're pursuing it, imagine you have a scholarship where it's basically free. So there's so much ideas here, okay? So in value investing with Warren Buffett, okay, or Benjamin Graham, or that's where it originated, okay? You have how much it's selling for and how much is it worth. And the difference between the two is the margin of safety. Well, if somebody's subsidizing the entire scholarship for you, the margin of safety is about 100%. So if you're paying for room and board, it's about, I don't know, what, 6%, because you're paying so much. You have to do the numbers, but the thing is that that's a huge margin of safety, right? And you can pay $6,000 off if that's all you're spending on school because you have a scholarship. Awesome, fantastic, it's amazing, and you feel so grateful for that. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's very thankful for that because it allows you so many options to do things that, if you have a mortgage payment on something that doesn't exist, that's intangible, it feels like somebody's strapping you with a 2-ton lead ball that you can never get rid of, and it just gets bigger because the interest adds to the principal. Jesus. Depending on your loan situation, but I'm just making a guess here. Okay. What's next? So you got a scholarship. Then basically you spend the least amount of time doing whatever. You basically just do what it takes to get the class, get it all done. Nobody cares about the grades. I don't care about the grades. You do this in high school, you leverage the thing that you're good at, you you basically get done with school and you're just working on the one project and you're incredibly focused on one project or getting good at a skill set, or maybe you go on Facebook marketing and you start selling and buying, selling and learning entrepreneurial skills. That is so valuable. So valuable. Oh my gosh. Like all the things that you could do that don't involve AP classes. Now, AP classes are great. It's just everybody's doing them and nobody gives a flying crap. Okay? Nobody cares. Everybody's doing it. You're just the same as everybody else. What makes you different? Right? And what makes you different is your unique preferences, your unique talents and abilities that you're actualizing using that hard work. So basically, when you're doing all these like base minimum credits in high school or college, you're on the side doing your hustle, learning wisdom and knowledge and stuff that you're actually interested, actually passionate, actually have like a kind of pseudo obsession with, but it's not actually, pathological. It's just something you're really driven towards. And then you're manifesting you. Okay, not some BS, not somebody else's criteria of what success looks like. It's yours. It is you, and that's all that matters. Right? People don't look for value in that AP stuff unless they're super good at it. And then guess what? That's a part of them. So they're pursuing that part, which is great, which is wonderful. It's just that that's not the majority of people. And guess what? Whether you do those classes or not, you still got to go through some electives, and it's not exactly completely transferable, but you can make arguments. But the thing is that You're still doing 2 to 3 years at a major university to cut back maybe 30 grand. Now that's a lot. But 30 grand compared to a full scholarship because you were killing at something is a completely different story. Not to mention that that scholarship happens to cross contextualize from one major that you're really good at to another where you add an engineering degree on top of it for free. Free, But that's just opportunities that the scholarship affords you because you did something that you were good at. Interesting, right? And not to mention, you're not spending all your time doing useless garbage. Okay, let's just look at it. I'm just going to take a biased position here. It's probably useful for somebody who's trying to do something very specific, but let's just look at the broad context here. That's not everybody. Okay, it wasn't me. Okay, AP classes were not my thing because I thought it was useless. And it is for me. Okay, I'm making that distinction because I was focused on music, something I was good at, decent at, because that was something I could leverage into the future to buy me more time to find what I liked, what I loved, what I appreciated, and not to mention not be a slave to something else. Which is amazing, and that's why I'm thankful. But why would I ever project something different onto somebody else? When you can learn you can learn a huge amount of wisdom by shedding through tons and tons of books on philosophy, learning how to think, the Aristotelian categories, everything on critical thinking, syllogisms, debate, dialectic, psychotherapy, amazing stuff. Anything that you can look into, like types of pathologies or stuff, so you can identify processes and like it's like trying to look for the hidden meanings behind what we think and justifications behind things, so that we can actually get to the root cause of why we feel a certain way or another, or why we dislike this person, or why we like this person, or why we gravitate in this situation. Why is this constantly repeating scenario repeating and rhyming in multiple different scenarios, in multiple different ways, in different areas of life? It's like, well, I kind of want to fix that or change that and manipulate that and make my life better in that way. Now, is that more valuable than learning calculus? Maybe. Maybe. And if you really wanted to learn math that was useful in business, I'd probably recommend Arthur Benjamin's work on math. It's called Mathemagics. It's kind of like, whatever. But basically, it's a way of calculating quickly numbers in your head. So if you're looking at balance sheets, cash flow statements, and trying to value companies and minus and subtract one time, like basically if you take the entire like value investing approach or whatever, if you're looking into businesses or whatever, you can basically add all those numbers together, get a good idea, at least synthesize some things from the balance sheet, and then you do some more homework and stuff. But then you don't have to sit there with a calculator doing all this stuff and poring over numbers and seeing if it's right. But you get quicker and quicker and quicker, so that it's not a chore to do it with a calculator. You're not chained to anything, which is amazing. It's freedom, right? So now, not everybody uses calculus. If you're an engineer, probably use calculus. Do you know that when you're a freshman in high school? Maybe. Then what should you be shedding in the library? Everything you can get your hands on in terms of math, science, and then once you exhaust it, which it'll be 3 months, because like if you look at any high school library, they're trash. Absolute garbage. It's like a bunch of fiction and like maybe magazines, maybe some couple books, but like the super heavy books are the ones that look like trash, talk about boring stuff, and ultimately have dust on them. And if you slam them really quick, dust will fly up in the air and you'll look like Frankenstein because you'll have this like powdered facial complexion like you're a Victorian princess. Okay? It's crazy. But yeah, it's like if you do something, that's how you crush school. It's not about actually like getting grades. It's about getting skills. Okay? And now that's not going to actually be rewarded sometimes, but the thing is that you'll look at them and you won't judge them. You'll just say, I'm on my path, and you'll know exactly where you are while they don't. Now, it's not like that's a comparison that's actually worth anything. It's not. Because knowing and having wisdom and knowledge and all that stuff and kind of what you want to do, well, first of all, that gives you more time to leverage the work and the effort in order to actualize what you want sooner. But also, you have a sense of purpose and meaning that is so much bigger and feels so much better than not knowing and being confused and going from one thing to another trying to find it, and you can't, right? And so poring over all these books and then going to university libraries, which are amazing, by the way, they have all this stuff that has everything, and there's a huge variety, and you'll never run out of stuff. Never run out of stuff. And then once you do, if you do, because I'm kind of like, and then you'll go to the law library, or you'll go to the music library, or you go to the math library and try to synthesize principles from there because you'll get so bored, right? And that's amazing, right? Because then you're just going from one great thing to another, to another, to another, and you're always growing, and it just feels so alive, so alive. So yeah, that's how you crush school. You just you just get great at the things that are really important. The things that you really feel are important that you're really good at, and then you shed all your time. You don't put any stuff. You maybe do some stuff that you enjoy, of course, exercise. Maybe if you want to do a sport, that's great. Okay, cool. But no AP classes. Nobody cares. No AP classes. You're hustling, getting scholarships for things that you're great at. Right? Talking to friends, raising capital. You're doing all that stuff. Perfect. What's the next one? You're reading tons and tons and tons and tons of books a day. Well, not books a day. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't even imagine. But like you can basically synthesize principles from books, because most of them are just telling stories and they're not really telling you anything. It's until like, and from this study we are able to deduce and then you read the last statement and it makes complete and total sense, and you really didn't have to read the rest because it was all crap anyway. You're saving time. You want the principle. There it is. It's right there. It's right there. We can take it. And then you'll be able to look at all the things that you're learning in class, and it's all a significant part. It has nothing to do with what you want. Now you have all the context and the background information to literally BS your way through anything, which is nice. Well, that's a useful skill. Somebody's like, yeah, so synthesize this principle for me. Well, you already synthesized it from 50 books that you already read in one topic. You write a paper right quick, because basically you're just reproducing all the information that was given to you. Contextualize your own little thing at the end. Put some rhetoric in there. Put some philosophy in there. Put some questions. Put some dialectic. Maybe a confusion statement by Milton Erickson or something like that, because you're just trying it out, because you're just trying to see how it works. And then you turn it in. You get an A+. You're gold. All right. So yeah, I don't know what the point of this talk was, but basically you can focus on the skills that you love. Just actualize the most that you want. Focus on the relationships too. Love the relationships, because those will be there whether or not whether or not a behavior is useful to them or not. Because people want to you want to develop a connection with people that's not just based on behavior, right? Not based on a contract, right? Hey, I'll do this for you, you do this for me, kind of stuff. Well, that's not really, that's kind of a little surface. But when, as humans, we kind of want a connection that's a little deeper than that. So we'll pursue that, and maybe the next video I'll talk about kind of a synthesized principle of emotions, kind of what everything's tracing back to. But yeah, this is kind of just crushing it in school. So I hope you liked it. Love to hear your thoughts down below.